Hi, this is Shannon, Nicole Kringen in Seattle. And I want to make a video, just a really honest video. I want to try to be as honest as I can. It is August 10th, 2025, and I'm sitting in my apartment thinking about my life, my art, my desire to express myself on planet Earth. This is a collage, windsong spiral drive. Mapping internal lands, print me. I think I call this Inside the Kring. And this one doesn't really have a title, but it's obviously a photo I took, a self-portrait photo, superimposed transparently on top of a non-representational painting. So this is a collage of my art. I have just gotten back from 2 days camping at the ocean with a friend of mine. We went to Lake Quinault and stayed at a friend's sort of Airbnb campground that they run, and they live off grid, and they moved there, I think, 10 years ago. And it was interesting to be in that environment and then come back to Seattle. And then we drove to the coast and went to Ruby Beach on the Washington coast and Rialto Beach. And those are two spectacularly beautiful beaches. I did a lot of self-portraits with my 10-second timer. I had three different cameras with me and I used all three of them. I did landscape, photos of the ocean and self-portraits of me at the ocean, dancing around, my silhouette. I love to do that. My friend said something like, my friend that went with me doesn't like to take pictures of me because I'm always wanting to get a good photo, and it's hard to get a good photo of me. So when other people photograph me, so I'm a model for other people. So it's kind of weird. Like some people say that I promote myself too much as an artist, and some people say I don't promote myself enough. And I'm hypersensitive to criticism. I'm actually a really insecure person sometimes, and I know that I have talent and artistic, unique. Now somebody's calling me. I want to keep videotaping myself. I don't want to answer the phone right now. I'm going to turn my phone off, and that was a family member of mine calling me. I don't want to talk on the phone right now. I'm have my art on my lap because it makes me feel more secure. I feel like when I say amplified chameleon getting her dreams on, oh gosh, where is it? Like here's shoes that I've painted, with marker, and here, amplified chameleon, meaning there's four self-portraits. Me after getting back from Vipassana 10-day silent meditation retreat, me washing my face paint. I painted my face like this, and then when I wash it off and take a shower, it kind of looks like that. It kind of gets smoothed out. And then this is at the Triple Door in Seattle, the beautiful lighting in the bathroom at the Triple Door. These are four very different self-portraits. So when I say amplified chameleon getting her dreams on, what I mean is I feel like the real me is many different people. And there's part of me that's very quiet and wants to go hang out in the library and read and write in my journal and think deep thoughts and be quiet in the forest and just be by myself. And then there's part of me that wants to dance around in body paint, like, and strut around as provocatively as Mick Jagger dances on stage. One of my biggest inspirations actually is Mick Jagger and Jim Morrison and people like Edie Brickell and Tori Amos and Tom Petty and Neil Young and Bob Dylan and all these great musicians and actors, Meryl Streep and Billy Bob Thornton, and who I'm going to see live. So part of me is really inspired by these artists, and I want to do these monologues. And my friend said something like that I'm obsessed with myself. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe I am obsessed with myself, but what does that mean? And I've always wanted to be famous, which always sounds embarrassing. When I say out loud, I want to be famous, it sounds kind of silly. For one thing, I might fail. So if you say you want to be famous and then I mean, I am a little bit famous. So I'm thinking, okay, what's the point of making this video? I just am trying to like drop my ego and not, I'm like, this is like a dorky monologue with no script. I have no script. I'm not trying to impress you, whoever's listening. I don't know how many people listen to my monologues. I don't think very many people listen all the way through. I listen to my monologues all the way through because I want to learn. I feel like I am always wanting to figure out who am I? Why am I here? What am I doing here? Ever since I was 15 years old, that's the first time when I read the Wayne Dyer book, Your Erroneous Zones, when I was 15 and found out about the word synchronicity from Sting from the Police. And I looked up what the word synchronicity meant because synchronicity is one of the most interesting words that I've ever seen. Even to this day, I like to say synchronicity to put my own name into it. And you could say that I'm being self-centered and a narcissist and self-absorbed, but then you could say that I'm self-aware and that that's a positive thing, and that sometimes people think it's cool to pretend like you're not into yourself. So, and I do feel jealous and competitive with other people, which I don't think that's very fun. Like when I go to these art car events, I appreciate everyone else's art car, including my own art car. But then there's part of me that wants to just be kind of a solo artist, like a solo off by myself. Like part of why I like art modeling is that I'm by myself. Well, I'm the only art model in the room. There's one teacher and one model, and then a bunch of students drawing the model. And I like feeling special in that way. And so I'm thinking, okay, is that because I'm insecure, or is that because that's just my happy place? My happy place, maybe that's my autism. My happy place is kind of being solo and yet with the community. And then when I was with my friend at the ocean, he's not on social media. He's a guitar player, a really good guitar player in a rock and roll cover band that I'm close to. The Mod Men is a really good rock and roll cover band, and he's on social media with his band, but not as his individual self. So he's a very private person. So he doesn't like being on camera, and yet he plays in a band and he's on stage and he plays a really good guitar player and a singer. But he doesn't write his own songs. He does cover songs, rock and roll cover songs, and can do blues and some country music. And he's a very good musician. And I've known him for many years. And so he's a good friend of mine. And we went to this trip together last year and we did a similar trip this year. And I really enjoyed being with his friends a little bit. Well, we didn't spend a lot of time talking, but we had, coffee in the morning and breakfast on the last day we were there. And we talked a little bit at night and a little bit in the morning. And they have 16 chickens and they have like, fresh eggs. And I actually have some eggs that they gave me, which I'm really grateful for. And I'm going to scramble them up with some green chilies and have a nice omelet. I really liked being at their space and observing, like they're kind of off grid, they have solar panels, and I forgot to ask how they do the water, but I don't think they're hooked up to the regular water. I think they have their own way of collecting water, and they have pumps, and they have like a compost toilet, and pretty off grid kind of situation. And kind of nice to get away from the rat race. And I'm thinking that someday I would like to have a house of my own or some land of my own and have a garden and do all the things required to declare it a wildlife, what do you call it, a natural habitat, a wildlife sanctuary, natural habitat. Don't use any chemicals and have like water, soil, and plants that are good for the birds and the bees and the flowers and the trees. And to have like, see, I'm trying to slow down. I sometimes talk really fast, a little ADHD, and I ramble on about a lot of different things. People say I'm off topic. It would be nice if I could tune out the criticisms that I've received, like that I'm a narcissist, some people say I promote myself too much as an artist, and I'm oversaturating the internet with things about my art. And then other people say I need to promote myself more and be more focused with it. I think I'm going to get new business cards with my art car on them. So I'm trying to slow my thoughts down. I am grateful that I'm alive and that I'm healthy and that I have the freedom to make this video and that I'm just talking off the top of my head. And I want to do my best as an artist, but I also I like the idea. Okay, so there's the spiritual side of me that's like trying to do spiritual growth and self-awareness. And then there's this artist in me that wants to be famous. Like I've always wanted to be famous ever since I was 3, 4, 5, 6 years old. When I saw Shirley Temple on TV, I thought I want to sing and dance and act and be cute and have people appreciate me and tap dance up and down the stairs with Bojangles, right? That famous scene, or is that the song Bojangles? Forgive me, I don't remember, but I love that scene in the movie with Shirley Temple tap dancing up and down stairs with the beautiful tap dancing black man in that movie, famous scene in a movie. And then as a teenager, I was really inspired by Mick Jagger dancing and impersonated him in front of my high school. But part of me is very shy and wants to go and hide. And sometimes when other people photograph me, actually, I look better when I kind of hide behind a tree and then I peek through the tree branches and come out of my shell. And my art car, I think, is a way, when I say amplified chameleon, getting our dreams on, that's a line in one of my poems and one of my songs. And I feel like what I mean by that is, I feel like maybe not everybody is like this, but I know some actors have said this, that they feel like a chameleon and they feel like, I think it was Sean Penn or Meryl Streep or somebody like that, like really good actors have said things like, that they feel like who they really are is very flexible and adaptable and malleable and kind of like neuroplasticity in your brain. And you become different people. And when you're an actor, your job is to, sort of shapeshift and use a different accent and walk and talk and speak and look a different way. And dip your toe into what it feels like to be a different kind of person than the real you, and yet you're tapping into something about the real you. And so I feel like on a spiritual level, and when I say spiritual, I mean I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual. What I mean is I feel like who we really are is flexible and adaptable, and we're not set in stone. And if we want to just stay the same our whole lives, we can try, although nature has a way of, you age and you change whether you like it or not. I think that I will always love the music of Tom Petty, probably, and I will probably always love the color green. Green is my favorite color, and Tom Petty is my favorite songwriter. And yet, I'm open to different kinds of ways of being. Like lately, I generally like to wear bright colors, but lately I've been liking beige and taupe, how do you say it? All the neutral colors, like army green and olive green. And like the shirt I'm wearing is kind of a olive army green kind of color. And like these glasses are, brown, basically brown. I really like what I use a lot of bright colors in my paintings and my drawings and I like to photograph, bright colored green, forests and flowers and nature. But part of me is very much attracted to beige and taupe, Taupe, however you say that word, taupe. How do you say that word? Beige, khaki. I volunteer somewhere in nature and I love to wear the vest that's a khaki vest and I feel like I'm on safari, in Africa or something. And not to sound corny, I mean that with full respect to African. I've never been to Africa, but I would love to go somewhere out in Africa where there really are lions and tigers and elephants and giraffes and all of the amazing animals that are in Africa. But um, part of me is very earthy and natural. And when I say spiritual, I mean that I feel like I am not just my body. I'm Shannon Nicole Kringen on this earth, born in 1968 in San Diego, and yet I'm so much more than that. I'm so much more than my body. And when my body passes away, I think my soul will continue on and do something on to the next phase, but I don't really know. But I feel like, and also when I say spiritual, I also mean that we're all connected and that the whole ecosystem is connected, the plants and the animals and the humans, and that every human creates a ripple effect and there's synchronicity and serendipity and there's coincidences and things just feel like they're meant to be. Like my parents met when they were young and had me they created me, they kind of let me happen. And then they're like, oh, I guess we should get married now and see if this works. And it didn't work. For 4 years they were married and then they divorced. But I feel like on a soul level, I feel connected to both of my parents and like it's meant to be, even though it was sad going back and forth. I feel like my parents were meant to create me and have me, give birth to me and raise me together separately, whatever. I went back and forth between each of them. But I feel like the whole thing was meant to be, and I have a lot of traits of my mother and a lot of traits of my father, and yet I'm my own person also, all three. I'm like partly my dad, partly my mom, and partly my own self that is beyond anything about them. Just like I see my parents are similar to my grandparents. Each of my parents, I didn't really know my grandparents very well on either side of my family. They're all passed away now, but and I don't have any brothers or sisters or kids of my own. So I have a really small family. It's really just my mom, my dad, and me. And my mom is in her late 70s and my dad is in his early 80s, and they're private. So I'm not going to talk a lot about them, but I'll just say that it's interesting to witness. I can see that they're their own people, even though they have traits of their mothers and fathers, but they're their own unique self. And so every human is totally unique. And when I say amplify chameleon, I mean that I'm exaggerating or amplifying, like when I do a self-portrait collage, like this one, there's four very different sides of me. There's the more spiritual, daydreamy side that meditates and is contemplative. And then there's the more playful, wash the paint off in the shower. And then there's the more Hollywood glamour person that wants to be like a Hollywood movie star. And then there's this primal camera focus. There's this primal. This, when I look into this photo of me, I think of Jim Morrison. I call this primal Kring. This is like the quintessential goddess Kring self-portrait, but I think about Jim Morrison and his sort of uh, sensual, sexual, spiritual. That's one thing I love about Tori Amos as well. Tori Amos and Madonna and Jim Morrison all have this sort of very sexual and yet spiritual, and actually Mick Jagger has some of that too. A lot of my favorite artists have this sort of mystical, spiritual, daydreamy quality mixed with a sexual. So it's like a spiritual and a sexual quality, and it's a sensual kind of thing. And there's just something about the intensity. And then Jim Morrison, I was listening to his father being interviewed and his sister. Jim Morrison had a brother and a sister. I think he had a brother and a sister. But I listened to his sister and his father talk about him as a kid and how they really didn't know the Jim Morrison that was in the Doors. They did not know that part of him. They had no idea that he had that kind of talent and that kind of desire. They thought of him as more of a poet and a writer and a deep thinker and a more serious, intellectual, philosophical kind of person. And yet, when he was on stage with the Doors and performing and recording those songs, it was a different side of him. And I think his sister appreciated it, but his dad seemed to not even be all that impressed by his success in the rock and roll band called The Doors. It was very interesting to see that, and it makes me think of myself and my desire for to be appreciated and loved. But there's the difference between the fans, the audience. When you're an artist and a performer, there's the audience, the general public who likes what you do and doesn't really know you. Like they don't really know me as Shannon Kringen, personal friend or family member. They know me as Shannon Kringen, Goddess Kring, artist, performer, model. I mean, what do? I do lots of things. I have an art car. I model for other artists who paint and draw. I role play with medical students as a patient. I write poetry. I record music. And yet the regular me, the more private me that is hangs out with personal friends or family is a different me. So amplified chameleon is like there's different, was it Shakespeare who said all life is a stage and we're always acting, even if we're being real? When I'm with my mom, I'm a daughter. And when I'm with my dad, I'm a daughter. And I'll never be a sister or an aunt or a mother. I'm not a mother or a sister or an aunt. Interesting. I also don't think I'm ever going to be a wife. I've never been somebody's wife. I've been somebody's girlfriend. I am somebody's girlfriend right now. My love life is I live by myself. My love life has never really been super conventional. That's another thing that happened. I went on this ocean trip and I was appreciating the friends that we were visiting that live off grid, and I was appreciating them telling us how their life works and how they have a more simple way of life than living in the rat race of Seattle, and that sometimes they're lonely and they wish more people would visit them, but they generally like, living in a nice, clean, in the middle of the forest kind of thing and with nice like trees everywhere. And I got to see elk crossing and a bats at night and some cows and chickens and, the air smells amazing there and the ocean and all that. I loved all of that. But when I was at the ocean, also, my friend said I'm a little bit obsessed with myself. And I'm thinking, am I obsessed with myself? Like, part of that was hurting my feelings when he said that. But I think he just doesn't understand why I take so many pictures of myself because I'm always trying to get a really good shot. And maybe I overdo it. I take lots of photos. I was dancing around in front of my camera. And so when I was at the ocean, there was two things going on. Three things going on. I was trying to appreciate nature and just relax and have a vacation, which is hard for me because I'm kind of a workaholic. And then there's the second part of me that was trying to make art, take good photos and videos of me as the model and also of nature landscape and enjoying companionship with my friend. And then this other part of me was trying to heal and grow and let go. Whenever I'm at the ocean, I grew up in San Diego, and so a lot of my childhood memories are of being at the beach. And apparently, when I was a little baby in the stroller, my mom would walk to the beach and push me along the trail, the path by the beach. And so some of my first memories are of hearing the ocean and smelling the ocean and gazing at the ocean with my mom and my dad and running around on the beach barefoot. With lightning, retriever of gold, break the mold, I'm told. um, there's a moonlight on snow, blowing status quo. Let's see, Dylan-esque romantic glow. These are some lines of my poems. Poetic phrases pop into my head and I write them down, like catch the windsong spiral drive. Just popped into my head and I wrote it down. So I come up with these lines that pop into my head and I write them down. But at the ocean, I was thinking of all my boyfriends. I've gone on ocean camping trips with like 4 or 5 different boyfriends over the last 30 years, and I have Venus in Sagittarius. Maybe that's partly why my love life has been so not stable. Like with every person with every man I've ever loved, I feel like I learned something new and different. But mostly I'm a solitary person. I feel like I belong living by myself. Like maybe someday I'll meet somebody I'm compatible with and I'll live with him and we'll grow old together. I don't know, but probably not. But I think I like living by myself, and I don't know if that's just because that's the real me that's happy doing that and I need my freedom, or is that because I'm wounded, or I've never met anybody I'm really compatible with and domestically like to live with. But I've had a lot I've gone on a lot of really beautiful ocean trips with different men that I've dated over the last 30 years, like I said, and 30 years would be 1995, yeah. Since 1995, and actually 1993, I'm thinking of somebody from 1993. I've had that's 32 years. I've gone to the ocean with some of these men that I've really, really loved, and I had a connection with each of them, but it didn't work out long term. But with each person that I've loved romantically and as a friend, I have learned something new. And I had the courage to ride my bike all the way to the coast with, buses. But with one boyfriend, he was very rugged, bike rider, camper kind of guy. And we did that. And then with this other guy, we brought his kitten in the car and camped with his kitten. That's a long story. And this other guy was an entrepreneur and he was selling things up and down the coast in shops, a sort of hippie item and that he made and manufactured himself. It was a tree-free eco paper, hemp paper, I think it was, and other hemp products made out of the fabric, woven fabric of hemp. And then there's the current, guitar player friend of mine that I went to the ocean with. And then there's I don't know. I was just thinking about trying to let all that go, trying to like really let it go. Like the older you get, the more, I mean, I'm 56, I'll be 57 in October of 2025. I'll be 57 years old. And I've been roller skating at Alki Beach lately, and I went to the ocean and recently Rialto and Ruby Beach, two of my favorite beaches on the Washington coast. And just thinking about all of my past, my San Diego, I only lived there from age 3 to 9. I also might go to San Diego and with a friend of mine and do a video. There's two different guy friends, one friend that's like my brother and one friend that I'm dating. Um, one or one of them might go to San Diego with me, drive my art car all the way down there and make a video for Only Child where I reference a lot of places in San Diego, like Tecolote Canyon and Torrey Pines and La Jolla Cove and El Indio and Old Town and Cuyamaca and lots of places around San Diego. But I was just thinking of letting all that go, letting my past go and being appreciative of it. The older you get, the more you want to stay young in your mind and drop your baggage and treasure the memories of the past, but don't like carry such a heavy load. So I was just thinking about appreciating every boyfriend that I've ever dated, every man that I've ever dated that I went to the ocean with, especially because that was a more powerful, the people that I went to the ocean with, I had or had a more powerful connection with. There was something on a deep level that was there. So I went and had a different time with each of these people. And now I'm just trying to figure it all out. Like, what am I doing? Like, I'm in a bunch of art events. Like this summer, I wrote them down. Let's see. I'm just gonna talk as long as I want, I guess. I'm always thinking that I better hurry up and wrap this up. But a lot of people don't have much of attention span these days, and they probably only listen to 5 minutes of my video, or maybe not at all. But maybe that's okay. Maybe that doesn't matter if you listen or not, because I'm going to listen to this. So I'm just doing an improv monologue. This is my podcast. Let's see. I might have my art car at the Shebang Festival just on Sunday, though, in Bellingham. And then on Thursday, August 14th, I'm doing a demo of hand painting wearable items, small canvas, open to the public. You can come make art with me. And that is part of it's called Open Mic and Art Night, Acorn and Side Rail Collective. And that's in Georgetown neighborhood. And that's like Thursday, August 14th, 2025 from 7:30 to 10:30 p.m. And then I'm also doing, I think I'm doing oh, where is it? I'm not seeing where it's listed. Let's see. Oh, I'm not seeing it. I'm trying to find it. Let's see. I wrote it down in my blogs. I have a live journal and a world WordPress and a Tumblr. So Wednesday, August 13th at 7 p.m., there's the Briar Porch Light Parade with me and other art cars. And then Thursday, August 14th, 7:30, 10:30 p.m., I'm teaching a workshop um, open to the public, and I might also share poetry and music, and I'm going to do a demo of how to hand paint wearable art with people. Oh yeah, I was going to show on camera. And then I'm going to show these in just a sec. And then August 30th and 31st, Saturday and Sunday, three of my photos of Seattle are in the Vanishing Seattle art show that's at Art Not Terminal as part of the Bumper Shoot Festival at the Seattle Center at Art Not Terminal Gallery. Those are the main things I'm involved in right now. And then tonight I might go to the Up 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 Incorporated circus show on the waterfront. Um, so these are shoes that I'm hand drawing these spirals on. These are in process. So I'm going to bring these to demo painting shoes. And these are an example of finished ones I did with Sharpie marker and acrylic paint pen marker. The light color on top of the dark is done with that. And then this is with Sharpie. So I hand draw all these like spirally shapes. Um, And then there is like like a collage of some of the camera just won't focus, but yeah, whatever. The camera won't focus. But part of me just wants to disappear into nature, like this photo I took of the jaguar, and then I superimposed a self-portrait of me. A self-portrait of me. I always say that. It's a self-portrait of me. My face camouflaged into the jaguar, sort of disappearing, but the camera won't focus because I have some weird filter on my camera. So, oh well. Um, and then there's my music, my poetry book, Kringonian Pizzazz, and then a non-representational abstract painting. And there's my music CD. And we have two CDs out of music. Dave Flowers and I have created, I think, 24 different songs. I guess I'll keep this. 24 different songs Dave Flowers and I have created. We have Amplified Chameleon and we have Kring Flower. So those are the two different albums we have, and we're hoping to get on KEXP radio, but that's easier said than done. And if you go to, let's see, the music page, music, Bandcamp. Let's see, we're on Bandcamp and we're on Apple Music and iTunes and all the different music things. We have these are the names of our songs from Amplified Chameleon, the second album. Amplified Chameleon, Kaleidoscope Unicorn, Bun Dance, Kring with No Clothes, Cactus Hugging Vulnerable Viking, Dragon fire hello, outsmart the gaslighters, butter the wing, spread the kring, distracted by reality number 5, margarita slushies with the next door neighbors, populist pivot is the second title I have for that, and naked in the forest is a spoken word. That's from Amplified Chameleon. And then from Kring Flower, our first album, we have Only Child, UFO Camera, Slow Down, Monkey Wrench, Cancel Culture Vulture, Dumpster Diving Boots, Jasmine, Ripple Effect, just spoken word, Banana Split, Free of Traps, another spoken word, New Year's Revolution, Clear the Clutter, the new mix of the story of Goddess Kring, Cactus Hugger, Vulnerable Viking, oh yeah, Polarized Landscape, and Swirly Girl. So those are our songs so far. So we have several songs, and I'm really happy about that. So I'm just thinking about part of me just wants to disappear and live more off grid. And I guess I've always had those two sides to me. I've always had this side to me that just wants to be quiet and go off by myself and write in my journal and basically write poems in my journal or write in my diary. And then part of me wants to perform for the public. Part of me wants to be part of me does want to be an actor and a model. I took a stand-up comedy class and I haven't done any open mics with comedy. In fact, today there is an improv, a free improv workshop, but I'm not going to be there because I'm going somewhere else tonight. But I feel torn in a couple different directions. Part of me wants to be more quiet and go hang out with nature more and have my private time alone, like the tide go. That's what it is. When I go to the ocean, I think of the tide goes in and out. Life is this continuous daytime, nighttime. The tide goes out, the tide comes in, the tide goes out, the tide comes in. There's something about the cycles of nature. And when I think about Jim Morrison's poems, and Jewel has also written some beautiful poetry. So there's Jewel and Jim Morrison and Bob Dylan and Tom Petty and Tori Amos and Edie Brickell, some of my favorite songwriters. And I really pay attention to song lyrics and poems. And I don't read a lot of actual poetry books. I'm more listening to song lyrics. So the poetry that I'm most tuned into and influenced by are song lyrics of the people I just mentioned. And also love Laurie Anderson and Meredith Monk and PJ Harvey and Heather Nova and Rafe Perlman and Jason Webley and Jesse Sykes. These are some local people, and Pete Droge and lots of great songwriters. I listen to the lyrics and I write. And part of me feels jealous and competitive of other people, and it's very uncomfortable. And I don't like it when I feel that way. And I don't like it when I observe other people that seem to be competitive and jealous and envious of other people. And instead of cheering somebody on, they're like, oh, well, who do they think they are? Like if you're successful, sometimes people will judge you and be jealous of you or competitive with you. And I'm just saying I witness other people doing that to each other. And I witness myself having, envy and jealousy of other people. And and I don't and it's not fun when I think, oh, okay, I'm just feeling jealous of this other person and I'm just feeling competitive. And um like in high school when I would win a tennis match and I would feel guilty, I'd feel like, yeah, I'm glad I won. And then I would feel guilty for winning and sorry for the loser. And, that's not fun either. So part of me is competitive and part of me really doesn't like competition at all. And so that's a conflict I have within myself, I suppose. Yeah. So I have all these kind of thoughts all the time. So when I was at the ocean, I was thinking maybe I can let a lot of this go and just sort of enjoy the ocean and let the tide go in and out throughout life. The tide goes in and out throughout your lifetime. There's quiet times, there's loud times. The tide is in, the tide is out. Maybe I should write a poem about that, about the ocean and about, well, I say ocean beam, come clean, manifesting dreams, inner energy, life force, come forth. Volcano ash erupting green, enchanted fingers fell to rain. So this is kind of like a poem that popped into my head, and That's actually one of the poems that pops into my head the most when I think about my poetry. I wrote that in 1997. I go, Ocean beam, come clean, manifesting dreams. Inner energy, life force, come forth. And then I say, catch the windsong spiral drive, crack the code left and right node. So it's kind of a spiritual path kind of thing. It's kind of like tapping into the synchronicity of the universe, tapping into what your soul wants to do on this earth. These are just some of the thoughts I'm having. And so this video is a monologue about me just talking about whatever I want. I'm not trying to impress anybody. I'm just saying what I feel and what I think on August 10th, 2025. I'm, wait, I'm 56. I will be 57 in October. So I'm just learning as I go, and I feel like I wish that I could just appreciate my past, but sort of let it go. And as I head into my 60s, lighten my load psychologically and forgive and heal and grow and learn from everything from the past and be grateful for the past and yet be here now as a person in the present moment. And I'm really grateful. Like part of me wants to be more quiet and do more behind the scenes type things. And yet part of me is very grateful that I have all these art car parades. And my friend said, I suggest that I get new business cards so that anybody who really likes my car, my art car, Opal Moonstone, which is a Honda Fit with rhinestones glued all over it that I created over the course of 3 years, if anybody's really, really into my car, offer to give them a card. And if they don't want it, that's fine. But just in case they want it, they also just, a lot of people take pictures of my car. And so there it is. They have their own, card with them, basically. But I don't know. I just have mixed feelings about everything. What can I say? And I hope that I inspire other people and create a good ripple effect. And I'm just trying to, I like doing these monologues because these monologues are, maybe some people think they're boring and don't watch them, but I like making these monologues. And I think that it just feels good to sort of talk honestly into the camera and not try to impress anybody. And I'm not pretending like I have it all together. I really don't. Like, I feel like I'm really in some ways very talented and very smart and I'm very proud of myself and yet in some ways I'm extremely insecure and extremely conflicted and I think that I annoy some people and some people really like what I do and some people don't and I'm trying to figure out who do I like, what do I like, I don't think that I like doing, like, okay, I like the idea of doing all these public events that I do, and I'm glad I'm doing them. But part of me always wants to get away from it. I just want to get away, get away. I want to go off by myself. I want to get away. I feel like honestly, when I feel the most content, usually I'm by myself. I'm not with other people. Maybe that's my autism. I don't know. Maybe that's being an only child. Maybe I love going out and doing a bunch of things artistically and then coming home and lying in bed or taking a walk by myself and processing everything that I've done, like stewing in it, ruminating on it, processing it. I don't know what the word is for that. Reflecting on all the things I've done in my life and then writing in my journal about it or taking photos about it. Or I guess that's my tide in and out. When the tide is in, I'm by myself writing and creating art. And then when the tide is out, I'm performing, I'm in an event, I'm publishing a book or a song or a poem or a painting or a photo or these videos. Like this is me expressing into the camera. And then when the tide is in, I'm just lying in my bed thinking my own private thoughts or going for a walk and thinking my own private thoughts. And I get invited to things a lot, and I'm very grateful that I get invited to things, but I don't always want to do everything that I'm invited to. So I'm trying to figure that out because I don't always enjoy, I get overstimulated and irritated by too much loud social events. Uh, Even though I like to contribute artistically, and tonight I'm going to go to a circus performance called Up, Up, Up Incorporated Circus Crane Show. Tonight they're on the new steps in Seattle by the Seattle Aquarium. What is it called? The Salish Steps by the new aquarium that connects the Pike Place Market to the waterfront in Seattle. I think I'm going to that with a friend of mine. And they're also performing at the Equinox Studios at the end of this month, so I might go to both. And then my friend is performing at a clothing optional event later this month. I might go to that. I guess I'm just driven to do all of these public events, and yet part of me wants to go behind the scenes and be more quiet. So maybe I need to figure that out. Like, I feel conflicted about all of this. So I'm really grateful for all of the public events that I've done, and part of me craves more solitude. But maybe I just have to find the balance. Like, I don't like parties, but I like parades and performance, like opportunities to perform, to share poetry and music and art, to display my art in public, to talk about my art in public. I applied to be an Ignite speaker, to do a 5 minute speech at town hall and talk about being an iconoclastic, trailblazing synesthesia. I pitched the idea that my talk would be called Cactus Hugging Vulnerable Viking. And they may or may not accept me, they might reject me, but whatever. I'm just trying to apply for that. I mean, I did apply for that. It's free to apply, so I applied. And look them up. They're called Ignite Seattle, and I think they're still open to submissions. And you pitch a 5 minute idea, you're not allowed to try to sell anything or promote a business. And you're not allowed to say, here's the 5 tips of how you can be better at blah, blah, blah. You're not allowed to preach or, it's not like a self-help or marketing speech. It's like a just share an interesting story with people kind of a talk. So more of a philosophical kind of storytelling, just pure storytelling. And I like that. So I pitched an idea to them, see if they accept me or not. I want to get our music on the radio. If anybody listening to this has connections to DJs at KEXP in Seattle or any radio station in your area that is looking for independent music, Dave Flowers from Interactive Jack Records and I own the copyright to our own original music called Goddess Kring Music. We would love to get played on the radio. Thank you, Hollow Earth Radio, for playing us. I would love to have it played on KEXP. And somebody said the Evergreen State College Olympia radio station. I sent it to them. I should probably send it again. We need DJs to listen to our music, and if they like it, to play it. It's very, professional, high quality music, and it's very unique. And it's my vocals and my poetry turned into music with Superflower, who's a kind of a one-man band, although we do have a couple different drummers we work with and a trombone player named Tiger Flowers. So thank you for listening. This is the Shannon Kringen monologue for today. And follow your heart, follow your dreams. Everyone is unique. Everyone creates their own ripple effect. My tattoo, be yourself, no matter what they say after the ding song. And here is a guitar I made for my Tom Petty Barbie doll. Here's the cardboard. And I do have my guitar still, and I want to learn how to play guitar, but I haven't had time lately, and I need to prioritize that if I'm going to learn how to play guitar. Maybe that's my ADHD coming through, because I do music and poetry and painting and photography and modeling and acting and guitar. Learning guitar is just one more thing, and I play piano a little bit. I play guitar a little bit. I would like to do more of that. I have to figure out what my priorities are. And I want to enjoy my life. And yeah, there's a lot of problems in the world, and I'm not talking about that. This video monologue is just me talking about my own personal thoughts and feelings about my own life. And I realize there's a lot of things happening in the world, but I'm not here to virtue signal or prove that I care. I do care about all the issues happening in the world. I just don't want to use this video platform as sharing that. That's a whole different ball of wax, can of worms. Can of worms, my own terms. Can of worms, my own terms. That's part of one of my poems too. Okay, thank you for listening. I'm trying to just talk honestly. I'm not trying to impress anybody. I'm just sharing my authentic thoughts and feelings for today. And so if you want to stay in touch with what my events are, please like and subscribe this video if you want to. And I've been on YouTube for 20 years. Here's some honesty for you. I've been on YouTube for 20 years, since 2005, and I have 1,200 and some subscribers. So I'm like really not very popular. And I feel like it's probably good for me to know that. I don't know if that's because I just am too weird for most people, or am I being shadow banned, or, is there some reason why I'm not like, I don't have that many subscribers really. So I don't know, but it's not like I'm really trying hard to get more subscribers. I'm just sharing the way that I share. I mean, my YouTube channel is all over the map. I do these monologues, I share music, poetry, short videos, long videos, medium length, just random improv. I still want to do a documentary. I don't know, maybe I'll never do a documentary, but I'm learning more about video editing. And when I did my public access TV show, I edited it in a very simple way. I just went stop, record, or pause, record, pause, record, pause, record. That's how I cut. That's how I made cuts with VHS videotape, with one camera and one light, plant grow light, and a black curtain behind me in my apartment. So I had a very simple way of editing my videos, and then I did video, photo, slideshows, and now I'm learning some different video editing software. I would love to learn three different video directors have helped me where I lip sync. We have videos for Kring with no clothes, dumpster diving boots, the story of Goddess Kring, and Monkey Wrench. There's four official videos where I'm lip syncing our original songs, and I've had three different people help me with those. Tommy Cook, the drummer, directed our or edited our video of Monkey Wrench. And then a guy named Rob from RJ Media Seattle directed and filmed and edited Dumpster Diving Boots and the story of Goddess Kring. Thank you so much to those two. And Greg Carl, I filmed Kring with No Clothes and lip synced the video, and then Greg Carl edited that. So thank you to all the people that helped me on that. And I would love to learn myself how to do it myself so that I could film myself, lip sync my song, and edit it like three or four or five or six different camera angles and sync them up as a lip sync video to make more music videos. It's actually really fun to make music videos. I have to say, I really do. I'm not conflicted about that. I really do love lip syncing to my own vocals, and to be in my own music video is a dream come true. I've always wanted to do that. I don't shy away from the spotlight with that. I would love to make more music videos of Goddess Crane music. So if anybody listening, if you're listening and you're a music video director kind of person, if you want to collaborate with me, also on videos, let me know. And also, if anybody's listening to this besides me, let's see. There's a guy, thank you so much to the artist. Actually, there's an artist named, I gotta find it. He's on Instagram as Michael Blue Artwork. So Michael Blue Artwork is inspired by my music. Michael Blue Artwork, thank you so much on Instagram. He's inspired by the Goddess Kring and the music, and he has done some paintings in response to photos and videos of my Goddess Kring expression, and he has offered to help illustrate uh, covers and like images for our songs. And so I'm open to you if you're an artist, if you're a visual artist, if you have video editing skills or want to work, if you know a filmmaker wanting Goddess Kring documentary film project opportunity, I'm always open to finding visual artists and music and video director type people who want to collaborate with me on Goddess Kring art and music and poetry. I have a second book coming out. I have Kringonian Pizzazz poetry book. I have Art Identity in the Sacred visual art book. And I have my second book is called Kring Flower Song Lyrics. And I might do a book, a memoir called Checkerboard Childhood, Amplified Chameleon, something like that might be the title. But I've just vaguely started doing that. So I am open to music videos and making a movie, documentary movie, and publishing more books of my poetry and my visual art. But I'm also open to having a garden and being more behind the scenes and having enough solitude and quiet time away from it all. I like both. That's the tide. The tide is in and the tide is out. I think that's what it is for me. I generally don't love parties. But I guess if it's an art party where everybody gets to share a poem, that would be my kind of party. Hey, let's do a party where everybody gets to, like oxymorons through the door, a group for loners, and they all showed up. So that's a line in one of my songs called Kaleidoscope Unicorn. So yeah. Okay, so that's it for today. Enjoy and do something new and different. My advice to you is do something new and different every single day. Try something new and different every day to see how that feels. Bye for now. Enjoy your life. Yay.